Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the February 24th Gulf Shores Planning Commission meeting. We will now call the meeting to order. Mel, roll call, please. Here.
Franklin,
Here.
Philip Harris, Alan Young,
Here.
Richard Lamar, Grant Brown,
Here.
Dr. Mary Edwards Long,
Here.
Jason Holt,
Here.
Ray Moore.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a quorum.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the January 27th meeting.
I think I need a second.
Second.
All in favor of the approval of the minutes from January 27th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, motion carried. All right, we've got one site plan and 3 public hearings. The first one will be Andy Bauer. He will go over the Royal Standard Development Site Plan. It's all yours, sir.
Thank you, and good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission and members of the public. So before I go over the first item on the agenda, I'd like to quickly cover the public hearing guidelines for those of you who are present today. Staff will present the application to the Planning Commission and the public. At that point, the chairman will entertain any questions from the commissioners, and then the chairman will open the hearing up to the public. If you would like to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Try to refrain from repeating anything that anyone else has said. Hold your comments to 3 minutes per speaker. And at that point, after everyone has spoke, the chairman will close the public hearing, and then the commissioners will hold any further discussions and vote on each application. So with that, the first item, as the chairman said, is a site plan for the Royal Standard Development. The applicant requests site plan approval to construct 6,000 square feet commercial buildings and 1 3,500 square foot warehouse at 3769 Gulf Shores Parkway. Property is Zone BA, arterial business. I think most of you know where the Royal Standard is. Again, it's on Highway 59 on the west side of the street. There's a few property location maps. The property's highlighted in red. And again, it shows the property zoned BA, business arterial. It's currently developed with a Royal Standard commercial building. And recently the owner of the property demolished, looks like 5 storage buildings that were to the rear of the property. There's a couple photographs of the front of the property showing the Royal Standard, and then basically the property behind it was developed with storage buildings which have now been removed. So the proposed commercial uses are consistent with the uses allowed in the BA zoning district. The BA zoning district, which stands for arterial business, allows a variety of commercial and light industrial uses. The primary location of BA zoning is along State Highway 59 north of the Intercoastal Waterway. Specifics of the proposed site plan are as follows. You see the proposed site plan on the screen. The Royal Standard is listed as the existing building, which is at the bottom part of the site plan. To the rear of the Royal Standard is a proposed storage building, and then 3 additional commercial buildings shown on the site plan. The proposed site plan does comply with all of the area and dimensional standards of the BA zoning district. It is worth noting that the entry will utilize the existing entryway onto Highway 59, and there is a future stub street or stub driveway provided to the western property, which is also owned by the developer and owner of the Royal Standard property. Proposed architecture complies with the minimum standards of the zoning ordinance. Here are the proposed architecture for the 3 commercial buildings. Proposed floor plans. Basically, the applicant seeks to build these commercial buildings and then rent them out to future tenants, which are unknown at this point in time. There's the proposed architecture of the storage building. It's all non-metal board and batten siding. So analysis, vehicle access, again, they're going to use the existing drive that connects the Royal Standard to State Highway 59. Again, a new substreet is provided to the western property, which is also owned by the owner of this property. They will provide future cross-access easements across the front of the property to connect to the properties to the north and south of this when they're developed. Kind of a goal of the cities or city staffs is to provide for cross-access along Highway 59 so that in the future, people do not have to go back out on Highway 59 to get between one development and the development to either the north or the south. So the vehicular circulation does comply with the standards within the zoning ordinance. Pedestrian access, as you know, most of the streets or the city's bicycle and pedestrian master plan typically designates that any future developed sites provide either build a sidewalk along the street frontage or pay a fee in lieu of constructing a sidewalk. In this instance, there is required a 8-foot wide sidewalk along State Highway 59. As most of you know, there are no sidewalks in this area of the city along State Highway 59. So the applicant will pay a fee in lieu of construction. That fee is $19,510. The applicant does provide sidewalks along the fronts of all of the buildings, and there's an existing sidewalk in front of the Royal Standard Commercial Building. These sidewalks are all interconnected by crosswalks and can connect to the future property or the property to the west, which will probably be developed sometime in the future. Parking, due to kind of the unknown uses of this site, the applicant utilized the shared parking table in Article 14 of the zoning ordinance to calculate the parking based on a mix of commercial, office, retail, and warehouse uses. So when they used that table, that table came up with a requirement of 82 parking spaces. The site plan shows 87 parking spaces. They will mill and overlay a portion of the existing driveway, or the driveway and parking lot, a portion of the existing parking lot in front of Royal Standard. And the parking and drive aisles comply with the minimum standards of the zoning ordinance. Grading and drainage. The runoff will be captured in a stormwater retention pond located to the southwestern corner of the property. The grading and drainage plans have been reviewed and approved by the city engineering department. Landscape and tree protection. There are 15 existing trees on the property. I think all but one of those trees are popcorn trees, so they're an invasive species and not protected. The other protected tree is in a location where a future building is going to be built, therefore it has to be removed. There is no remediation required. And the landscape plan shows it complies with the zoning ordinance. The landscape requirements along State Highway 59 are provided, as well as around the perimeter of the site. A lighting plan has been provided. It complies with the zoning ordinance regulations. 8 25 feet tall pole-mounted parking lots are proposed. All the lights are full cutoff. Trash collection, there is one existing dumpster on the site, and they will provide another dumpster. Both dumpsters will be screened in accordance with the zoning ordinance, and the applicant has submitted a letter from Republic Services indicating this site can be serviced. The fire marshal and engineering department have reviewed and approved the site plans, and staff recommends approval of the site plan with 2 conditions. Condition number 1, the applicant shall pay the $19,510 fee in lieu of construction of the 8 feet wide sidewalk prior to the issuance of a building permit. And then prior to the issuance of a building permit, the Royal Standard shall provide a recorded acknowledgement to the city agreeing to provide cross-access easements at such a time the adjacent properties are required to provide cross-access easements. So basically when the adjacent properties, because they're undeveloped, when they do develop, all 3 properties will have to provide cross-access easements. Be happy to answer any questions.
Andy, I've got one regarding the pedestrian access. between this property, subject property and the south property. I don't see where we really have any pedestrian connection currently. I know you talked about that. Is that something that could happen sooner than later before we were to,
To the property to the south?
yeah, the property is
Oh,
south
I may have misspoke. So there's a future pedestrian and vehicular connection to the property to the west.
to the west. So is there any connection currently to that south property?
There is not currently, no. What would probably have to occur for that connection to be made is the city to build sidewalks along State Highway 59.
Okay.
All right.
Reviewing the architectural planning, the north side of this structure is the back. What is being done to protect the north property from looking at the back of a metal building? And I don't see a tremendous amount of landscaping. I see a landscape buffer, but it looks to me like the south facade is got some attractive characteristics, but the north is completely denuded of any kind of characteristic.
So
How do
the,
we protect that north property owner?
so the north property, I mean, how it would be protected is the required perimeter landscaping, 1 tree and 4 shrubs every 25 feet. And that's basically the protection that would be provided.
Do we have a facade requirement that could be defined or described? Because it looks to me like the orientation of the building is to the south, which means that the west edge will be facing Highway 59. And then the north will also be visible, depending on what gets put on that northern property as you're coming south on Highway 59. This looks like you're driving into the back of a building, to me.
Go back to the site plan. So that, you're talking about the first building there?
Yeah,
It would,
I'm talking about the building that'll be on the northeast corner of the property.
yeah.
Because it's going to be fairly close to the highway as people are heading south, and they're going to be looking like they're driving to the back of a building without some type of a facade on the back improvement. And there's not very much landscaping, and it's real close to the property line.
That's a good point.
I'm looking at the landscape design it's like sheet L-12 on the plan. I see some trees and little shrubs. I'm just wondering if we couldn't require, as part of this, to do some additional facade improvements on that north.
The materials used for facade shall extend a minimum of 10 feet along the building elevations not adjacent to a thoroughfare.
Because we typically see buildings orientated
Yeah.
east-west facing,
Yeah.
not north-south facing like
Yeah.
this.
And you guys could impose additional conditions on, a site plan.
Yeah.
But it is strange because yeah,
I noticed the
It's
same
different
thing.
than a normal
yeah.
orientation on this site.
I don't know if they could put kind of windows across the front, just like they have across the south-facing fronts. If the applicant,
I'm sure the applicant's here and they can address that
Yeah.
at some point.
'cause that would make, I mean, it would make,
Yeah,
it would
it-
match kind of the Royal Standard building and look,
You see where my question's coming from? If you're
Yes, sir.
coming south on 59, you're gonna be looking at the back of a metal building. And I don't think that that's what we want to see coming down Highway 59.
Well, does the current planning that's going on that north side of the building, does it currently meet the landscaping ordinance?
it meets the landscaping ordinance, but what he's saying is basically you've got a side of a building facing State Highway 59. And, you know, it probably should be a front of the building also facing State Highway 59.
Okay, so you're wanting to clean up that face that's facing 59?
Yeah,
I don't
Okay.
see that, but that's.
to make that look like the front of the building.
That's what
Yes,
people are
also.
gonna see when they drive south.
Traffic.
As you're coming south on Highway 59, they're gonna see that.
Okay, I can
which is
talk to her.
basically 4 pedestrian doors and a big metal wall.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yeah,
I don't know
can
how
talk
to,
her.
I don't know how to fix it, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to fix it, but I don't know if that's what the intent is as you're coming down Highway 59.
I mean, could
corridor.
you
We
address
can, we
that?
can put some additional landscaping there, you know.
Landscaping, can't you do additional landscaping?
I think it'd be look better if you, like,
I think put some additional, those visors that
windows
come
and
off, or some
try to match the
false,
front
even
side
if
of the
they're
building, yeah.
false
Try to make
visors,
adjustments to the building
false
facade.
windows, different paint scheme, something to make it look a little bit more intentional on that backside.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Because it is basically a front on two sides instead of,
All right.
Okay,
That was my only concern also.
okay,
I don't-
whoever. All right, any other questions up here? This is not a public hearing, so, the chair will entertain a motion.
Thought this was a public hearing?
This is just a site.
site plans are not
Just a
public
site
hearings,
plan,
but
yeah.
Site plan.
Put that in your.
I don't know how to, yeah, and then I have a little concern on the, if you look at the south two buildings, it's a little similar, although the travel lanes of Highway 59 are not gonna be traveling south, but you're gonna see the back sides of those other buildings. It's around the back of the Royal Standard, so it won't be as visible. But if somebody develops something on the south side, they're gonna be looking north at the back of a building too. Which,
Yeah, we just need to
I don't know.
make a motion and put the false front stuff in there, or in your motion, whoever makes the motion. That's all it
you
really
could
is.
say something like the treatment of that facade shall mimic the front facade
Of
And-
the adjacent building.
colors, materials, and something like that.
Grant, are you going with it? You got it. If not, I can.
If you got it, Fallon, if you know where we're
right.
going, if you wouldn't mind suggesting a
make
motion.
A motion that we approve with staff conditions and with the applicant working with staff to make all the facades mimic if it's coming south or if we're looking north from the other retail spaces that are back there. So we want the applicant to work with staff to make the facades of the buildings mimic the front, so they don't look like warehouses. Does that work for you, Mel?
I'll second that. Thank you.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, site plan's approved.
Thank you. I think you understand what that would look like if you're driving south and all of a sudden you see the back of a metal building.
And Andy, y'all understand as well, no question there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, and now we move to the public hearing portion of our meeting. First one, Osprey Landing subdivision, Phase 4, preliminary plat extension. Andy?
Yes, sir. As the chairman just stated, this is application ZA 2620. It is a preliminary plat extension request for Osprey Landing Phase 4. The applicant seeks a one-year extension on their preliminary plat approval for Osprey Landing Phase 4. Osprey Landing is currently under construction. It's a 42-lot subdivision located on the south side of Coastal Gateway Boulevard. Here are the location maps. The property's highlighted in red. So it's just an extension of Osprey Landing, which phases 1, 2, and 3 have been completed, and I think there's probably houses built on each of those lots. This is, I believe, the final phase of Osprey Landing. Here are a few pictures showing the current state of Osprey Landing. As you can see, a lot of the infrastructure has been installed. Haven't paved the streets or provided any sidewalks. But according to the applicant, it should be able to be completed within a year if an extension is granted. An extension request is required to be publicly noticed. So we did that in accordance with section 4-2 of the subdivision regulations. and have not received any correspondence from that notice. Here is the approved preliminary subdivision plat. The Osprey Landing is zoned R15, which is a single-family zoning district, therefore only single-family dwelling units are allowed. It's just over 14 acres. Again, it's proposed to have 42 lots. Lot sizes comply with R15 lot standards. Setbacks comply with R15 lot standards. Open space complies or exceeds the minimum open space standards of R15 and the subdivision regulations. So you can see on the diagram on the screen, phase 4 is kind of the tan colored area. We'll have 2 connections to the existing street network. And it'll also provide a future connection or a stub street to the property to the west. Section 4-4 preliminary plat extension of the subdivision regulations indicates that a preliminary plat approval is good for 2 years. The applicant received preliminary subdivision plat March 26th of 2024. Therefore, this subdivision will expire March 26th of 2026. This section also allows the Planning Commission to grant a 1-year extension unless changes have occurred to the subdivision regulations, zoning ordinance, or zoning map, which would make the approved subdivision non-conforming. The Planning Commission will remember that in July of 2025, we did make changes to the subdivision regulations, specifically the construction standards, basically as it pertains to streets. And we have a couple conditions of approval to make this, basically make this extension come up to compliance with those new standards the greatest extent possible. So staff recommends the Planning Commission grant a 1-year extension for Osprey Landing Phase 4 with 3 conditions. A $4,500 extension application fee shall be paid prior to final subdivision plat approval. Number 2 and 3 pertain to, well, number 2 pertains to the new street standards. All concrete work and street striping within Osprey Landing Phase 4 performed after February 24th, 2026, which is today, shall comply with the standards within Section 6-3B10 of the subdivision regulations. And those are the new standards. And then condition number 3, prior to final subdivision plat approval, the 3 comments from the engineering department shall be addressed. A, remove the mid-block crosswalk from Dawson Drive. B, stop sign crosswalk layout needs to abide by section 7C.04 of the MUTCD manual. And C, replace 4 inches of existing granular base with 4 inches of 825B or 301A-012 crushed aggregate compacted to 100% of the modified Proctor. If you have any questions about that, the city engineer is here and she can answer those,
Yes, sir.
because I can't.
I have
But
a
I'll be
question.
happy to answer any questions, or Jenny can also.
Yeah, can you explain the concrete? This is the new regulation, right? This is the new regulation.
Yep, the concrete and thermoplastics, so recommendation number 2, that's the new standards that y'all adopted back in January or July of last year. And then number 3, those are some engineering best practices as far as stop sign and stop bar and crosswalk layouts per the MUTCD, which is the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and best practices again on their crushed aggregate base there.
Is there anything there now? Are they gonna have to take up what's there or just or start all over again?
This will not have them take up anything that's already installed. So everything that's installed will stay.
Okay.
This just upgrades some of the future work that they're doing. We've worked with the engineer and contractor and they're aware of this and agreeable to
Okay.
these terms.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions up here?
I got a question regarding,
Go ahead.
so as I visited that site, Andy, it looks like, I mean, all the, like the sidewalks have been pretty destroyed through that roundabout. And it looks like that's, I mean, I can't remember if that was like that before when we did phase 3 and that was asked to be repaired. Does that sound familiar at all? And who's,
It sounds familiar, but I can't remember if that was part of a condition of approval for, because, you know, this ties into that roundabout, this phase, so I don't know if, but, yeah, I'd have to go back and look.
is the HOA here? Anybody from the HOA?
Anybody here from Osprey
Yeah,
Landing?
could you,
Hate to get you up.
yeah, I hate to ask you this question, I saw the damaged sidewalk, has that been damaged?
My name's Mike. I'm on the board of directors, Osprey Landing Phase One. Andy, they have promised us that they would take care of that sidewalk. That damage has been done since the construction started in 2020. And also, there's a hunk now out of the entrance from Coastal Gateway. The trucks have just torn a piece of the curbing out there, so that also needs to be repaired. And they just tapped into our water line on common area number 4 of Phase 1. And we need to make sure that they either plant sod or hydro seed or something, that they actually came onto our property to tap into the water line.
Yeah, and Mike, on that too, so currently the drainage that's not in this phase, that all belongs to the HOA now, right?
Yes, that,
Drainage ponds and
the roundabout is Phase 1.
Mhm.
And then once you go south of the roundabout, that goes into Phase 2, 3, and 4.
okay. So all of that has already been released to the HOA, right?
I'm sorry?
1, 2, and 3 have been released to the HOA.
Yes, they have a management company for Phase 2 and 3
Okay.
based out of Louisiana.
Your HOAs are separate, right?
Correct. Which is it's a cluster.
Because they're using phase 1 access, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, has the city accepted the roads in the beginning, phase 1, phase 2? Have they accepted any of the streets?
We'll have to find out for you.
We don't have that information in front of us right now.
Find out.
We're checking.
Can you tell
I
us
don't think,
The road sign, the street sign,
I would be surprised if phase 3 has been accepted just because it's relatively new.
but
Phase 1 is old.
Phase 1's been accepted.
I don't know, we're checking.
Okay. Mel, let's open up the public hearing. Anybody like to address this issue, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and let us hear from you, if anybody wants to, on Osprey Landing.
One more thing.
Okay.
Andy, you mentioned something about to the west, Dawson Drive. What is proposed there? Where the
Nothing,
farmland is now?
nothing's proposed currently.
Okay. because
But
I
our
noticed-
subdivision regulations require interconnectivity between developments, so that would provide for interconnectivity in the
So
future.
we don't have to worry about any surprise here in the future.
I mean, nothing's proposed there right now, but eventually, I think there's a substreet provided to the south and to the west, so in the future, it will connect to whatever's built there.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mel, close the public hearing. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to extend I'll make a motion in accordance with staff recommendations to extend for 1 more year.
Osprey Landing.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. Need a second.
I'll second it with the 3 conditions.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Osprey Landing is approved.
I'm going to abstain on that.
We got one abstention.
abstain on
Okay.
that,
Abstain.
Who-
Okay.
Who abstained? I'm sorry.
Fallon's abstaining.
Thank you.
Fallon abstaining. Okay. Okay, now the next 2 public hearings today will be Colonial Traditions Lot 7, final subdivision plat. And it's all yours, Andy, and please explain what we're doing, which I'm sure you will.
Yes, sir. So we have the next two and final applications are both regarding Colonial Traditions Development. First application is a final plat approval to subdivide lot 7 into 2 lots. And then the next application is to subdivide one lot, which would be one of these lots, into 43 lots for future single-family development. So first application is ZA 2607. It's final plat approval for lot 7. Again, they seek to split lot 7 into 2 lots. This property is in the middle of Traditions Way and is zoned general business with a PUD overlay. So the property is highlighted on the screen. Again, it's in the middle of Traditions Way. It's currently wooded and zoned PUD. We did notice this application in accordance with the subdivision regulations, and we have received quite a bit of response from the surrounding neighbors and citizens. Citizens have questions and concerns about the state of the infrastructure, emergency access, and utilities. So the existing conditions on this, it's just a wooded lot shown there on the screen. So it's deemed a final major subdivision because it does not require the installation of any new streets or infrastructure or utilities. The current lot is 18.39 acres. They propose to subdivide it into 2 lots. Lot 7A being 10.63 acres and lot 7B being 7.76 acres. And you see the proposed subdivision shown on the right-hand side of the screen. Basically, they're almost splitting the property in half. So we did review this in accordance with the subdivision regulations, and it's classified as a minor subdivision. Again, because this property already fronts on existing improved streets and does not require the installation of any public utilities. It does comply with the minor plat standards within the subdivision regulations. This plat has been reviewed and approved by the Fire Marshal and Engineering Department. And staff recommends approval with one condition. The roadway labeled Colony Circle on the plat shall be changed to Traditions Way prior to recordation of the plat. So they basically mislabeled a street on the plats. Its name is Traditions Way, not Colony Circle. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, you got any questions up here? Okay. All right, Mel, let's open up the public hearing and let's hear from the folks in the audience about Traditions Lot 7. Please, your name and where you live and.
Hi there, my name is Carrie Scott. I live in the apartments near to where this is being built, Jasmine Trails, 19451, Oak Road West. So I'm not opposed to growth in our community, but I do have some concerns because there's already been some backup sewage stuff going on around that area. Responsible development is a good thing. I took some notes here, sorry. Development that proceeds without consistent enforcement, transparency, and verified infrastructure, it puts residents, neighbors at risk, health concerns. So they're not hypothetical concerns, they're real, and they involve visible, widely reported conditions and things. So I don't know, I just think it's a lot. I'm nervous about it. The traffic in that area, it's already just to get my kids to school in the morning, I have to leave 20 minutes before they need to be there. I live 10 minutes away, just having all these new people coming into town. And then, locally we have wonderful builders. So why do we have out-of-state builders coming into Gulf Shores to develop Gulf Shores? It just feels like we're building on top of things and things and things. And it just kind of seems ridiculous to me. So I want to speak up about that. I don't know. That's all I have to say, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, Mel, close the public hearing, and the chair will entertain a motion.
Do we, before we do a motion, do we know, Gulf Shores Utilities Services, the Colonial Traditions? Or is this a
I think that's
South Baldwin?
the next.
Okay.
In the next.
Subdivide first?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we can approve the subdivision with staff condition. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. That passes. Our
To the
last,
public.
Let me explain this.
Yeah.
That was just a subdivision.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's all right. It's okay.
The next one is the one you're probably referring to.
I missed it too.
okay, we're going.
But it's noted, and we heard what you said, and we're thinking about that other one. This was just a subdivision of property. This is gonna get a little more detail,
Yeah, the next one, right.
might answer some questions.
Now we're going to Colonial Traditions, Phase 3A subdivision preliminary plat. Andy?
Yes, this is the bigger
the
application
one
that
that's gonna
probably
be
most of you are here
here
about. A ZA 2562, Phase 3A of Colonial Traditions preliminary subdivision plat. The applicant seeks subdivision approval to subdivide one lot into 43 lots. Again, this is also part of Colonial Traditions planned unit development, and this property is also within the middle of, I made a mistake, Traditions Way. Same location in the middle of Traditions Way, same zoning. A few photographs of the existing property. You see Traditions Way was planted 15, 20 years ago with live oak trees. They've grown significantly and form a very nice tree-lined street. A couple of photographs of the clubhouse and pool, which are existing amenities on the site. We also publicly advertise this application. Similar to the other application, we've received a lot of correspondence from the surrounding citizens. They have questions and issues about the state of the infrastructure, emergency access, and utilities. We'll get into the history of this property. In 1996, this property was annexed and rezoned from R1A, which is single-family residential, to general business to reflect the existing use of the property as Woodlands Golf Course and associated uses. In 2006, Colonial Grand Apartments received site plan approval, and that was for 324 units. 2007, lots 3 through 8 of Colonial Traditions subdivisions were rezoned from BG to BG Planned Unit Development Overlay. The primary purpose of that planned unit development was to reduce density from 20 units to 10 units, to approve a PUD master plan, and approve a land development handbook, which guides the future development of this planned unit development. So as of today, Colonial Traditions is allowed 1,208 single-family and multifamily units. 2008, the PUD was amended to include the 2 out parcels along State Highway 59. 2016, the City Council reactivated the Colonial Traditions PUD. The zoning ordinance contains some regulations about the longevity of PUD approvals, and they have to be reactivated every, I think it's 5 years, otherwise they expire. 2021, the Planning Commission granted final subdivision plat approval for a 20-lot single-family detached subdivision on Lot 6 of Colonial Traditions. 2022, the Planning Commission granted final subdivision plat approval for a 50-lot single-family subdivision on a portion of Lot 3 of the PUD. And that 50-lot single-family subdivision was divided between single-family, I think it's 10 single-family detached houses and 40 attached, which are also known as townhouses. In 2024 and 2025, the city approved PUD amendments to illustrate a conceptual site plan and residential lot layout for Lot 7, which is the subject property we're discussing this afternoon. So this this application or this property was originally developed back in, I think the original subdivision was 2006. The loop road was built, and it was built by Colonial Traditions, a different developer. 2008, as you all remember, the economic downturn happened. I think Colonial Traditions, the original developer, went under. So basically between 2006 and then the more recent approvals in 2021, this property just sat there vacant. So really nothing was done out there. And it was just became, portions of the golf course were, what used to be golf course just were grown up into a forest now. So with that, the city has not accepted any of the infrastructure, the roads, the drainage, or sidewalks as public infrastructure yet. So the public infrastructure still is, I guess, the homeowners association and the developer responsible for the existing infrastructure out there. It's kind of odd because a lot of, usually someone comes in, a developer comes in for approval of a subdivision, they get it approved, they put up a surety, they get, for 2 years after the construction is complete, and then they ask the city to accept the infrastructure. That never occurred in this instance, basically because no houses were built and it was just a loop road. So the proposed subdivision that is in front of you today is on 10.63 acres. It will be single-family detached houses, 43 lots. The largest lot size is 8,200 square feet. The smallest lot is about 5,200 square feet. The setbacks are as provided in the PUD and Land Development Handbook. A little different than normal setbacks. Front setback of 15 feet, rear setback of 5 feet, side yard setbacks of 5.5 feet, and then street side yards have a 15 feet setback. The majority of the lots are 46 feet wide. That provides 22% of the development will be open space, and they will utilize the existing clubhouse, swimming pool, and tennis courts as amenities. Again, this development is controlled by the PUD Master Plan and Land Development Handbook. The Land Development Handbook contains about 5 or 6 building and lot types. So basically, the future development within Colonial Traditions must comply with that Land Development Handbook. It also contains typical street provisions. And so in addition to any zoning regulations, it has to comply with the PUD Master Plan and the Land Development Handbook. Staff has reviewed this phase of development against the city regulations as well as the PUD Master Plan and Land Development Handbook, and it complies with all of those standards. Roadway design and access. 2 new public streets are proposed, Cornelia Avenue and Winthrop Street. No access will be allowed to Traditions Way from the individual lots. There will be private alleyways that connect to both Winthrop Circle and Cornelia Avenue, and also to Traditions Way. All the houses will be accessed from the rear from those alleyways, and the proposed street names have been approved by the Baldwin E911 department. So a very important aspect of this development is the developer is providing a new construction emergency access easement that will connect this development to State Highway 59 at Settlers Way. This was a requirement of the fire marshal, as well as some previous approvals that occurred in the past, that a third connection be provided for this development. So with Phase 3A, this will just be simply an easement for the purpose of construction and emergency access. And then any future phases beyond Phase 3A, that easement will have to be dedicated as a public street and built as a public street to city standards, including any required upgrades to utility services. And to the right-hand side of the screen, it shows the existing Settlers Way and the proposed access to State Highway 59. So the majority of that easement and what will become a new road is on property that's not owned by the applicant. It's owned by another entity. but the applicant has been in contact with the owner of this property and apparently has obtained rights to place an easement on the property and construct a street in the future. Common open space, 22% of the Phase 3A is open space, which is greater than the 10% required by the subdivision regulations. A lot of the open spaces around the retention pond. They've also provided a sidewalk around the retention pond. And the sidewalk does connect to existing sidewalks and to the amenities, existing amenities on site. The Phase 3A, future residents of Phase 3A will have access to the existing clubhouse, tennis courts, and swimming pool that were previously constructed. Sidewalks, 4 feet wide sidewalks currently exist around the Loop Road, Traditions Way. Some of these sidewalks are in disrepair and must be repaired as part of this. If this application's approval, we do have a condition that they shall bring these sidewalks up to code compliance. New 5 feet wide sidewalks are proposed within the rights of way of Winthrop Circle and Cornelia Avenue. And again, the sidewalks will be 5 foot wide sidewalks will be provided around the retention pond. And all these sidewalks will interconnect with one another so that future residents can walk between houses, swimming pool, and the other open spaces in the development. Subdivision drainage, there is one retention pond proposed. The drainage plans have been reviewed and approved by the city engineering department. And you see the retention pond there on the right-hand side of the screen. Landscape plans, the applicant did submit a landscape plan as required by the subdivision regulations. As previously pointed out, there are existing live oak trees around about every 50 feet on center around the existing Traditions Way. The new proposed landscaping in the new section, they have a 7 feet wide landscape strip, which will be planted with live oak and tulip trees. There are also landscape plantings around the perimeter of the stormwater pond. And the proposed landscaping complies with the minimum standards of the landscape regulations. Tree preservation, they did provide a tree survey. Majority of this property has smallish to medium-sized pine trees because, again, this is a golf course 25 years ago. So it's basically just whatever trees have grown up between now and then. A lot of them are pine trees. But there are 6 protected oak trees located on lots 23 and 24. In these instances, the subdivision regulations state that protected trees shall be preserved and integrated into the design of the subdivision. Phase 3A does not comply with this standard within the subdivision regulations. And we do have a condition later on in the condition section that basically says the applicant shall redesign the section, probably just make it open space so as to preserve these trees going forward. And you see on the left-hand side of the screen, it shows a snippet of the tree survey. On the 2 photographs on the right show the existing trees, some of those which are classified as protected trees. Lighting plan, Acorn-style lights were installed back in 2006 when the original subdivision was approved. New Traditionaire light fixtures are proposed within Phase 3A. The lighting plan complies with the subdivision regulations. Fire Marshal has reviewed and approved the plans contingent on the emergency construction access being provided as stipulated in the conditions of approval. Water and sewer, Gulf Shores Utilities. So basically at the time of a preliminary subdivision application, we require the utility providers to provide service letters indicating that they can provide service to a new development. Gulf Shores Utilities has provided a service letter indicating they can service Phase 3A. They did state that any future development will require another service availability letter from Gulf Shores Utilities. And there's been quite a bit of, you guys have probably received some requests from citizens about existing infrastructure. So Gulf Shores Utilities has accepted the water and sewer infrastructure within the entirety of the existing development except for phase one, which is a 20-lot single-family subdivision. In speaking with Gulf Shores Utilities, the reason they have not accepted the infrastructure in phase one is because they provided a punch list to the developer, and that punch list has not been completed yet. But they stated if and when the punch list is completed, they will ask their board to accept the water and sewer infrastructure in phase one. And I did ask Gulf Shores Utilities if it's odd that they haven't accepted the infrastructure in a phase of this development or any other development prior to final plat or prior to final plat approval. And they said that's not unusual. A lot of times they don't accept the water and sewer at the time of final plat approval, and sometimes they never do because it's not built to their standards. So if they don't accept it, it would be on the developer and homeowners association to maintain the water and sewer infrastructure. Utilities, the other utilities, Baldwin EMC has provided a service availability letter saying they can serve phase 3A with electricity. Republic Services can provide trash collection services within phase 3A. And then Riviera Utilities can provide natural gas service to this phase as well. Traffic, so obviously this PUD has a long history. When the PUD was reactivated back in 2016, the applicant had to do a traffic study. A condition of approval of that PUD reactivation, and based on the traffic study that was performed back in 2016, was basically the applicant shall participate or construct improvements at the intersection of Oak Road West and State Highway 59, or the applicant is required to pay a fee in lieu of constructing those improvements. But that condition also stated that those improvements or fee does not have to be done or finished until the traffic impacts of 150 single-family dwelling units. If this phase of development is approved, they will have, the city will have approved a total of 113 dwelling units. So they basically have what, 37 more units before those traffic impacts are required, or construction or fee in lieu. And most likely they'll be paying a fee in lieu because the city, I think, in the county are in the process of pretty soon making some improvements to that intersection. I'll let the city engineer go over those.
So the city has an agreement, and we are working in partnership with the county to make some improvements to the County Road 6 and Highway 59 intersection. In particular, on this County Road 6 Oak Road West side of the intersection, we'll be doing some improvements on this map to the letter A, where that decel right turn lane is. Where the B is, we will be adding a second through lane westbound, which will then also modify the left turns from northbound 59 onto the road. We'll make that a double left turn to handle more capacity of traffic. Where the C arrow is, that will also become a double left turn to northbound 59 with a right turn lane. So the city is working with the county on that. We are in the design phase of that project. We have about 30% design right now. So we'll work through that and get to construction and hopefully get these improvements in the next year. So likely any development going forward will pay a fee in lieu, and we have a calculation that's based on the number of dwelling units to calculate that fee in lieu to help reimburse the city for some of that cost.
Thank you. Thank you. So also the city's going back to our public notice, we've received quite a number of citizen complaints. Some of the complaints are about the state of the existing subdivision, construction debris from the construction that is ongoing on phase probably 1 and 2, Again, water and sewer infrastructure, stormwater issues, sidewalks and roadways, and home construction. So the city engineering department has begun monthly inspections of the subdivision as required by ADEM regulations. So they will continue to do those, and any violations will be brought to the attention of the developer as well as the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. And then the building department, because there are houses under construction out there, the building inspectors are out there probably a lot more than I am, every other day, weekly. So they have been made aware of these issues with the construction debris and kind of the current status of some of the, trash and things on the construction site. So they'll begin helping to enforce that, as well as the code enforcement officers. I think they spoke with the developer last week and got him to clean up some of the issues that the citizens have brought up. Water and sewer infrastructure, again, that's Gulf Shores Utilities. Again, I kind of covered that. They've accepted majority of the water and sewer infrastructure out there. The developer's working on a punch list so that the utility department can accept phase 1. Stormwater issues, again, the original phase 1 and 2, the stormwater was designed to the standards of the city of Gulf Shores. I believe the stormwater pond in phase 1 was designed to a 100-year storm, which is greatly exceeds the minimum standard of a 10-year storm. Those stormwater ponds are on private property, and they're the responsibility of the developer or homeowners association to be maintained. The city doesn't maintain, or we don't maintain private retention ponds. Sidewalks and roadways, there are some issues. The city engineering department has gone out and done some preliminary inspections of the sidewalks and roadways. Obviously, some of the sidewalks are torn up and broken from the tree roots. There are some issues with the roadways, basically regarding some of the construction activity that has occurred over the last couple of years. We've provided a preliminary punch list to the developer. So basically, before the city accepts any of the streets as public infrastructure, the engineering department will perform a comprehensive and very specific inspection that will be provided to the developer. They will have to make all those, whatever changes required from those inspections prior to the city council taking over the streets as public roads. And then the home construction, each home that's constructed on the site, they submit building permits to the city's building department. Those homes are reviewed in accordance with the adopted building codes. And prior to issuance of certificates of occupancy, they must comply with the minimum standards within the city's building codes. So with that, we recommend approval with a bunch of conditions. I'm going to read through them because it's kind of complicated, as this whole development is. Condition number 1, as a condition of the issuance of a land disturbance permit for phase 3A, the applicant shall provide an access easement for a dedicated construction emergency entrance along and including Settlers Way and extending to State Highway 59. The easement language shall be reviewed and approved by city staff and recorded before a land disturbance permit is issued. So the first permit that can be issued for phase 3A is a land disturbance permit. So before we do that, they've got to provide this easement. And then there's several conditions that follow that. The construction emergency entrance shall be engineered and built to the current adopted fire code and fire marshal's requirements. Details of the entrance shall be provided on the revised civil plans. The construction emergency access easement shall be a minimum of 50 feet wide. Traditions Parkway, Colonial Parkway, Colony Circle south of Settlers Way shall be signed no construction access. Once the access is constructed, and all construction traffic shall be directed to use the new easement. The construction emergency entrance shall be completed before the issuance of any building permits. The construction emergency entrance shall be maintained in good condition. If for some reason it falls below standards, no further city permits will be issued, or any certificates of occupancy will be held until that emergency entrance is brought back up to minimum city standards. Prior to any approvals beyond Phase 3A, the construction emergency entrance shall become a city street, constructed and dedicated to the city. That will require Settlers Way to be built to a collector street standard as stipulated by the subdivision regulations and include all necessary utility infrastructure. The construction emergency entrance shall always remain open during construction and shall not be blocked to hinder emergency access to the development. And the future construction traffic is required to utilize the new entrance and shall refrain from utilizing any of the existing streets or any streets accepted by the city. Condition number 2, prior to the issuance of certificates of occupancy for any structure in Phase 3A, streets and infrastructure south of the new construction entrance shall be repaired and submitted for acceptance by the city. So that goes back to a lot of the citizens' complaints. This is kind of in accordance with the subdivision regulations. Before we'll accept any streets as a city, for city maintenance, they're gonna have to bring this, fix and repair any of the issues that are not in compliant with our minimum city standards. Condition number 3, prior to final subdivision plat approval, the applicant shall submit proposed housing styles and layouts so that city staff can confirm compliance with the adopted and approved land development handbook. Condition number 4, in accordance with Section 6.1B, preservation of natural features and amenities, and Section 6.6, open space, landscaping, and buffering of the subdivision regulations, and prior to the issuance of any future city permits, Phase 3A shall be redesigned to take into account the 6 protected oak trees on lots 23 and 24, and show this area as open space as required by the subdivision regulations. And then finally, condition number 5 refers back to the previous condition that was placed on this property in 2016 with a PUD reactivation, indicating that the applicant shall construct those required traffic or improvements to County Road 6 and Highway 59 or pay a fee in lieu of construction. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners have any questions for staff?
Andy, on that last part, subject, up to 150 lots. So if they had a phase after Phase 3A and it had, say, 37 lots, making 150, and since what Jenny said, and the city is working with the county to do that, would a fee in lieu be a condition of that next approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, once they hit the traffic impact of 150 lots, and that condition will apply for whatever
So that
phase
would
of
be a condition
development.
of that site.
Yes,
Site plan.
yes.
Any idea on the sewer? Has anybody said how long it's gonna be before the sewer? She brought up a point that sewer was coming out of the ground. Is that,
So as far as I can tell you, and the applicant is here, they can speak to it better than I can, but again, Gulf Shores Utilities has provided a punch list to the developer to fix whatever items that need to be or fix or bring up to their standards, whatever items need to be, whatever needs to be done. The developer is working with Gulf Shores Utilities to repair or bring those items up to code. It's basically up to the developer and to do that, and then once that's done, Gulf Shores Utilities will inspect it and then make a recommendation to their board that they accept the water and sewer in Phase 1.
But no certificate of occupancy in Phase 3A will be issued until that infrastructure's done?
it's not,
So our condition is related to city infrastructure. As
For the
some of you
sidewalks?
know, Gulf Shores Utilities is a separate entity from the city. So it's not related to water and sewer infrastructure. It's related to infrastructure that the city would take over, which are, the roads, the drainage within the rights of way, the sidewalks in the rights of way. the utilities typically is not something the city takes over. It's responsibility of Baldwin EMC, Gulf Shores Utilities, Riviera Utilities for gas.
But the fact of Gulf Shores Utilities accepting that, that can't be a condition for the certificate of occupancies?
It's not a condition as
No, it's not.
stated.
It could be. I would
I know, it
think.
can be a
I'm
condition.
with Frank. I think that should
It's
be.
not
part
a
of our-
condition as presented today. But you guys can add or delete conditions as you deem appropriate.
That gives Gulf Shores Utilities a little bit of teeth. They need it.
And we can let the developer talk about that.
Is the developer here today, developer's representative? You would like to approach and maybe answer some questions for us? Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
I wanted to speak to the conditions, just a specific condition if I could. And then
You are, sir.
Mr. Dilworth, my name is Aaron Collins with Dewberry.
Dewberry, okay.
Yes, sir. I'm a planner. So like I said, I'm gonna let Mr. Dilworth, the owner and developer, speak to the other issues. But really what I wanted to bring to light is that he has no issue with the conditions set forth for the exception of the trees on lot 23 and 24. We would like to, well, we think it's reasonable request to mitigate those trees with working with staff. We're not against the trees, but we'd like to put them in a location that they will be better equipped to survive. It's more than likely you're going to fill on the site and it's going to leave a hole where those existing trees are. That's the only request that I would have.
Anybody any questions up here for the developer?
So
Lighten me up. Yeah, I need you to recap that again, what you're saying.
Sure. So there's a condition that the trees be left on lots 23 and 24. If we were to leave those and grade the lots around it, it would just effectively put those trees in a hole. We would like to request to mitigate those trees elsewhere where they have a better potential of surviving.
Move them, you mean?
Yes, sir.
or cut those down and plant new?
Yes, sir.
Just
Same as all the rest of the, live oaks that have been planted all around the site that are, enjoying good growth out of the way.
How big are those trees, Andy?
They range from, I think, 13 to 17 inches in diameter. There's six of them protected trees. The reason
Likely-
staff, well,
Go
The
ahead.
likelihood of them surviving a move is slim.
Not moving, mitigate.
they won't move them. They
actually-
just want to,
Yeah,
they want to cut them
sure.
down and then remediate
Mediate.
per the tree protection regulations, which, but
It's not your recommendation.
it's not my recommendation. Subdivision regulations basically state when there's a, it specifically states preserved trees shall be integrated into or protected trees shall be preserved and integrated into the design of the development. And in this instance, I mean, if there was one tree or, something out there, but there's kind of a stand of trees there and we felt like, these trees should be preserved in accordance with the subdivision regulations.
Okay.
But if he comes in there and builds up a foot on each side or 2 foot on each side, you're gonna have a swamp there. They're probably gonna die. Theoretically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or have to mitigate it somehow or another. Don't build it up so high or drain it. Something would have to be done.
So do we need to take more than just the 2 lots to protect those trees?
I wouldn't anticipate there being that much fill. And additionally, there's nothing but open area behind this. So really, they should have the opportunity to work with their grading plan and the existing conditions out there. I mean, the road's there today and the trees are there today. So they may have to do a little bit of fill to get the lots in on the adjacent properties, but they should be able to put a side yard swale on there and do some engineering to grade that out where the trees could be saved on those 2 lots are right next to each other. So it's a wide enough area.
Just drain them
I
out the
think
back.
it should be, they could be saved.
I wouldn't say there was open space behind them. There's a road on both sides of the lots. I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but there's fronted by streets on both sides.
Can we pull that up? Okay.
Yeah, that picture one more time.
All right. I now open up.
Hold on just a second.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were pulling that up.
It's street alley.
I'm Michael Dilworth. I'm the developer. I was just gonna touch on the trees. There's a couple other concerns, just based on the caliper size. We can, so these trees aren't grown in what's called a tree form. They're grown with other trees around them. And when we remove those trees, that'll impact, the canopy that's already in place. And so what we're really suggesting is putting better caliper trees, that are tree form, that are grown and intended to stand alone when all the other trees around them have been removed, put them on the right soil conditions so that they'll thrive. So the long range is, instead of taking a chance on these dying, and we have 2 lots that are sitting there with no trees, once we remove the other trees around it, we've had somebody look at these trees and they're suspect, to say the least. I don't know if the city has an arborist that they'd like to send over there and look at it. We think it's a better move, as they said, to buy tree form of the same size, same basic size, but a better quality of the tree, and put it in the right location where it'll thrive around, and the community's designed appropriately around it. So that's part of the concept, and that includes the drainage concerns as well, but also just their current state and the fact that since infancy, they grew with other trees around it. So when you remove those trees, they're not, the canopy's not, is more skinny, it's not as wide, and then they're also more impacted by winds and things of that nature that, they've had trees around to protect them in the past, so they're taller and have shallower roots, et cetera.
Andy, has our arborist looked at those trees?
Yes.
They have, and
Yeah,
their opinion was that.
his opinion, they could be preserved.
Okay.
But yeah, I went out there with him specifically to look at those trees.
So we're happy to work with y'all and provide, a report from our arborist and a proposal of an alternative plan that we think would be better than saving these. But again, we're all for trees.
All right, any other questions for the developer?
So I think why he's here,
About the sewer.
he had a
Oh, yeah,
question
yeah, I can talk
regarding
about
the the punch list.
Well, so there's really no, so the punch list, and I'm not reading it verbatim, but it's water and sewer. And so there's 2 items on the punch list, and they're all related to water. So to my knowledge, the sewer backups were inside I'm not the builder, but they're inside the homes. They've been inside the homes of the houses. So pack of Marlboro Reds, sheetrock mud, things like that, blocking the sewer, before the house actually ties into the sewer main. So to my knowledge, there's been 0 issues with the sewer mains that are in place. And so we've cameraed those, before we paid our site contractor. And then, of course, there's a series of inspections as the infrastructure goes in. But then typically the city likes for those to be cleaned, or not the city, but the sewer and water board likes for those to be cleaned after, because dirt and other things would be in there. And so they want them cleaned, and then they want to look at them one more time just to make sure a heavy truck didn't cause it to collapse or whatever, in case you need to dig it up. But anyway, back to the punch list, there's 2 items. And there was some confusion on site, but it's related to water. So it's where the water connection was made. The plans showed it in one place. According to our site contractor, an official from the water board told them that they wanted it on this side of the road. So they made the connection over there. It didn't match the plans, and so they've been going back and forth, but that was fixed last Friday. So we went back and did that. So I guess we're working with the sewer and water board. They'll go over there and look at that. Then we'll set up the inspection on the sewer system, in which case, so they'll clean all of the sewer lines, and then they'll run a camera through it. And assuming that, which is a typical test, and that's been done before, but they want to see it at the time of conversion. And so as of right now, the borings have been moved, which are the 2 items on the punch list. And then from that point, my understanding is we wash out the lines, we video the lines, they review the video. If everything's good, then they'll accept it. Anybody? That's my best attempt at the status.
So you think that the Gulf Shores Utilities is going to accept the water and sewer?
That is our plan. I mean, to my knowledge and based on case law, that there's some opinion that they have if they've received revenue, been accepting revenue for the water and sewer utilities. But, the ideal situation is for them, and I think there could be an option for it to remain private. So I discourage the idea of tying that to certificates of occupancy in phase 3A as was suggested. But our full intention is we don't want to maintain that and continue. And we're very, very close to getting it converted. So, you know, I'm not a big fan of that, but.
But the
you know, y'all do what you
certificate of
gotta do.
occupancy is gonna be
Well, yeah, that's
a
gonna
year
be.
from now anyway.
Yeah, let's just say it took 6 or 8 months to do the infrastructure and then 6 or 8 months to build it. So yeah, that's a year better down the road.
But, and the law part aside, do you think Gulf Shores Utilities is going to accept
Oh, yeah, I do believe that. Yes, sir.
in the very near future?
Yes, sir. But we don't want to give up the right to keep it as a private sewer. But if y'all put that provision in there, that forces us to tie it to them if we, you know, hit some kind of stalemate. But again, we don't foresee that. I mean, we're very close. All we have to do at this point is to video them and go through that.
So when you say keeping it private, then you're gonna be keeping that.
I'm not suggesting that.
Who becomes responsible if you don't get it turned over to Gulf Shores Utilities? That becomes the homeowners, right?
Well, it'd be I'm the declarant and the developer, and so yeah, at some
But
point
you're gonna turn all this over.
that it would be, we would put together. So instead of them paying, we'd have to put together. And we've done this before in rural communities, but not where sewer water was available. But instead of paying fees to Gulf Shores Utilities, they'd pay those to a separate entity. But there's private sewer and water management entities that are available. Again, we don't want to do that, but we don't see any reason to put that provision in place and remove that right.
Well, I'm sure you know how HOAs are run. Most people don't know how those HOAs run. So making HOA president and vice president of president, I'd have a real hard time with them acquiring, you know, sewer and water to have to deal with as well.
I don't think they would. Instead of Gulf Shores Utilities, we'd hire a third-party group to do it. Again, this is extremely far-fetched. I'm not suggesting that that's where we're going to go. We're just saying we don't see it necessary to remove. But by putting that provision in place to tie it to the COs of Phase 3A, it removes that capability if for some reason there was some kind of insurpassable issue that we couldn't come to terms with Gulf Shores Utilities.
How many homes have you sold in there?
Well, I haven't sold
Or
any.
how many have been sold? Those
I don't
homeowners,
I
are
don't
they
know.
aware? I mean, you'd hate to leave them stuck, you know, thinking it's gonna be taken over by,
Well, we're not going to leave them stuck. There'll be a management company for the sewer and utilities.
but it wouldn't be Gulf Shores Utilities.
I mean, again, that is
That's the
our
goal.
yeah, full intention. Yeah.
Who could it be, Andy? Do we have another, who can?
I don't have a good answer to that. Now, I have asked Gulf Shores Utilities, are there times when they don't accept water and sewer infrastructure? And the chairman said yes. Sometimes they just don't accept it. So apparently there's developments out there where they have not accepted the water and sewer infrastructure. I don't think that's the best case scenario, obviously, but they did.
Meaning that
They don't always accept.
they provide the service, they just don't accept the infrastructure. So if there's a problem with the infrastructure, it's back on somebody else to fix.
That's correct.
But they still provide service.
Yes.
Does the city have an ordinance requiring or a regulation requiring subdivisions to use Gulf Shores Utilities sewer system moving forward?
I don't think so. I think it probably just says you're required to utilize public water and sewer. I don't know that it names Gulf Shores Utilities. Now, I think in conversations with Gulf Shores Utilities, they would like to correct that moving forward and require water and sewer infrastructure to be accepted by them. But they said, as of today's date, they have nothing to require it. And there are, I'm not gonna say subdivision, but developments out there that they have never accepted. So it'd be, I guess, privately maintained.
And again, I'm going to kind of restate this, but I can't even think of a situation where we wouldn't, you know, if there was a broken sewer line somewhere, we go dig it up and fix it. We got to fix that anyway. So I can't think of any circumstance where we wouldn't be turning it over to Gulf Shores Utilities. I just am saying that the idea of tying that to the COs in 3A might be a little bit of an overreach in my opinion. I just want to state that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions while I'm up here?
Yeah, Settlers Way, the easement,
Yes, sir.
does the easement document itself anticipate that it will be a city collector street?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the way that it's set up right now is that the city's allowing it to be a temporary road,
Right.
only for 3A.
Right.
And then, you know, the future sections, it's got to turn into a city road. And, I'm extremely invested over there. And so, you know, 3B, we have full intentions of 3B and whatever all the other lot numbers are, you know, for the land beyond for us to continue developing it. And, we made a big investment in the remediation of the clubhouse and the swimming pool and tennis courts. And that can't really be amortized over the number of lots that are currently there and 3A, nor the improvements of the, access easement. We're really, so yes, sir, we have full
I
intention.
wasn't doubting any of that
Yeah.
and the commitment, but I was just about the easement document itself. I mean, have you seen it?
So,
No, sir, that's basically a condition of approval that he provides that to us and we review it
Okay.
and approve it prior to any land disturbance
I
permit
just didn't
being
want to get
issued.
stuck by that other property owner if the easement didn't address that in the future it was going to be a city street.
yeah, so the adjacent property owner's been great and it is kind of a good for them, good for us type of deal. We're proposing that we pay for it. They get 2 corners. That road would be the first thing that y'all would require if anybody tried to do any improvements on that land if they sold it in the future, from what I understand, because that is a planned deal. So we're just accelerating that and we're funding it. You know, I had conversations with them. I think they're listening to this, you know, in Louisiana right now. And you know, just wanted to see how it all happens. But yes, sir. So it's planned for that to be a city street so that there's not maintenance and you know, it's not an easement anymore. It's a dedicated right of way.
Do you know how wide the easement is?
Well, we're working with the city to what they want, but they named it, I think they said they wanted it as a collector street, which requires an 80-foot right of way. Is that?
Yeah, so the easement will be 50 feet.
50 feet.
When it's built into a city street, it'll be a collector road, which is, I think, 80 feet.
Well, I'm thinking,
Easement's gonna have to be 80 feet.
I think we'll just go ahead and make the
No.
easement 80 feet
Yeah.
wide. So we're done, right?
That's fine, yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that.
I mean, we're gonna clear the whole thing. So if it's 80-foot right away, we're gonna do an 80-foot.
Well, but once the easement.
Whatever the bigger number is, we're going with that.
But the ultimate goal is to dedicate it to the city when it's complete.
So the reason why we're doing an easement is, so as of today, any future phases have to comply with the fire code. And the fire code requires another access. So this will be, you know, a temporary construction emergency access primarily for the fire department so they can get in there and service if they have any fire issues or whatever. Because right now the loop road kind of comes to a point where if there was an issue right there at that point and that road was blocked, it would block access to the whole subdivision. So this third access will provide emergency accessibility to the whole subdivision. Yeah, and the other issue is construction traffic. You know, Jenny and her department's gone out there and done inspections. The areas areas of the roadways that have seen construction traffic are not holding up that well because they're 15 years old. The areas where there is no construction traffic, the roadways are still in pretty good shape. But this will provide for a construction entrance exit so that they can stay off the roads. And as Mr. Dilworth, he's been pushing the city to accept the streets. And we don't necessarily want to accept the streets if there's going to be a bunch more construction traffic tearing them back up, because then the city will have to pay for them. So this is kind of a win-win for the city, the residents, and Mr. Dilworth, that we could, get a construction entrance, keep the construction traffic off of the existing streets, and we potentially one day will be able to accept them sooner than later. And Mr. Dilworth will bring the streets up to code and make all the necessary repairs so that the city can accept those as city streets.
And
Yeah,
then that 80-foot right-of-way becomes a public street
Right.
for access to residents onto 59 in the future.
Right.
That's
which is why
right.
it
Yeah,
needs to be a
and
collective road.
we're excited because we can make the entrance, pave it,
Yeah.
be nice with it. And there is one other upside. We'll be putting a water line in there so that we have a loop there. That's something we've been working with the water board on. So we're not really excited about all these expenses, but we are excited about the ability to pave the entrance, have alternate construction access, and then looping the water line, which means that if there's a break, then there's an alternate way to get all the residents water. It increases our fire flow for future development and things like that. So I think, and then by the way, the guys from Louisiana get the corners and everybody's winning. So it's a good deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing now. Anyone in the audience would like to come and address the Colonial Traditions 3A subdivision? Please come up, ma'am, give us your name and your thoughts.
Hi, I'm Christina Mareschi. I am a current homeowner in this development. I had planned to speak today. I had planned to speak at the 27th of January meeting as well. That was denied and deferred to this day. So I'm putting something together very quickly. I wanted to let you know that currently the builder is suing my husband and I and another homeowner. I have a current TRO presently, so I'm keeping my my speech to a minimum. But I do want to say that there's much. So as far as my First Amendment rights to speak the truth, I feel like with the lawsuit, we've been silenced, and that I have a high concern of the possibility of special assessments being incurred on the homeowners, because I would have never purchased in this development, nor my husband. It was perceived that it was a brand new development. And then once I closed, found out the infrastructure is from 1994 upon my own, going about and research, as well as another neighbor. With that said, all of the equipment, the Gulf Shore utilities, the cameras, the backhaul, suctioning the manholes, the lights getting turned on, anything that you could possibly think of was because of another neighbor and myself going on and saying, hey, there's problems here. We've got major problems. Just an example, I've asked the general manager of the Gulf Shores Utilities Company, Rhonda Butler, reminded her a fourth time to please provide me when the fire hydrants were last tested, the locations, etc. She will not respond to me. I've communicated with the Fire Marshal, George Surrey. He says he does not have access to those reports. We have homes that are getting ready to close very soon with fire hydrants right in front of their brand new homes that'll soon be, yet nobody will answer me about whether the fire hydrants work. That's just a pure example. So again, because I'm restricted with my speech, I will say that if the majority is in favor of approval with contingencies, I will appeal it. I will be sitting an appeal to that decision. But I thank you so very much for hearing me today.
Thank you for your information, ma'am. Anybody else? Nobody? Okay. May I close the public hearing and the chair will entertain a motion.
If I could ask,
Oh, excuse me,
Like to
excuse me, I'm
discuss
sorry, go
something.
ahead.
One, Ms. Sherry, can you address the fire hydrant statement, please?
I'm interested in that too.
Yes, Gulf Shores Utilities maintains the hydrants and tests them annually. When various construction projects come up, the project engineer may do a test on the hydrants, but the utilities is responsible for maintaining the basic, each hydrant is maintained. They're given a tag, and they have a full-time individual that tests every hydrant in town. And so they maintain those records. Does that answer
Are
your
you talking
question?
about Gulf Shores Utilities?
Gulf Shores Utilities.
Okay.
In this case, there are some situations where you have private hydrants, which we no longer allow. They're private mains. It's almost impossible to get the HOAs to maintain private water mains. It's just what we've found. So in colonial traditions, it's a public main. So it's maintained and tested annually by the Gulf Shores Utilities. So they're the ones that provide any flow data or any information regarding fire hydrants.
And you have seen this data and you're okay with,
Yeah, so in this colonial traditions, phase 3A, we met with the engineer we witnessed their test, myself and the Gulf Shores Utilities. They test the system and provide us with an engineer report. The utilities reviews it, we review it. In this case, the utilities indicated that this water flow was sufficient for 3A, but they would not prove anything further than that. So we agree with that also. We have an engineer, the Colonial Traditions developer provided a licensed Alabama engineer test of the system, and we accepted it because they're the Alabama licensed design professional. So if anybody needs data, they would have to get it from that engineer. The engineer collects the data and calculates it and performs testing according to engineering principles, and then provides a report. But anybody who wants that report, that would have to go directly to that engineer. And if they want the status of the fire hydrants, then they should go to Gulf Shores Utilities. They own the water main in Colonial Traditions.
thank you.
Thank you, George.
Could you explain the roadway infrastructure and the alleyways? You said they're private alleyways and the roads within the, this 3A plat? 'Cause
Yes.
What I'm curious about is the lots 33 through 43. I see access from a private alleyway, and I don't see any other access. And I don't see any place for people to park vehicles if they have guests, or if the service, like Amazons and UPS trucks. And how are those lots going to be serviced without being on a road front or having access to a road front and only having a private alleyway access?
So the regulations allow lots to front on public streets or on open space. So these front on open space, and they are accessed from the rear alleyways. And I think,
It's not a private alleyway, it's an alley. And so
it'll
people,
be a
when-
private alleyway. I mean, the city will not maintain or accept
Those
the
don't get turned
alleyway.
over to the city. Yeah.
Right.
so that's where the UPS and the FedExes and the Amazons and the
Yes.
friends and visitors will be using that as a street, not as an alley, to
Yes.
get
Yes.
access to
Yes.
these.
Yes.
And do we think that that's appropriate, I guess?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if
the
I,
PUD master plan, which was approved, I don't know, a couple of years ago, it showed a very similar layout to this, and that was what was approved. So, I mean,
Any other questions up here from the commissioners? Okay, guys, y'all.
Sorry,
Okay,
Pete,
go ahead.
I know, it's a long one. Regarding the sidewalk, is that those sidewalks tied into the infrastructure in our conditions here? Are the sidewalks, I see it as infrastructure, but they are tied in, so they'll need to bring those.
I think there's a statement they have to meet the ADA regulations.
Well, I saw that in the engineering section, but I didn't see it in an actual. In the conditions. Am I off on that?
So I think it's Let's see. Do what? Yeah, number 2, prior to issuance of C of Os for any structure in Phase 3A, streets infrastructure south of the new construction entrance shall be repaired and submitted for acceptance by the city. So that would,
It will have to meet ADA.
yeah, it would have to meet
Okay.
the ADA regulations. Right. So Scott was just so the existing sidewalks will have to be brought up to code of the code when they were approved basically in 2006 and comply with current ADA regulations. So they'll remain, potentially they could remain 4 feet wide and like have like a passing zone every, I don't know, 100 feet, or the developer could tear them all out and, bring them up to 5 feet wide.
Okay, but
That's
so
what that
would be a
means.
condition. And that's being done upon final or CO?
Prior to issuance of EC of Os on any structure in Phase 3A.
Go ahead, yeah.
I just want to, we're talking about these trees, the 6 trees on the lots, but I'd love to go on the record about the sidewalks. The idea of expanding these, so the street trees that y'all saw that are, grown, I don't know when they're planted, 2008, and they're doing great and they look really good. We'd like to work with the city. We want it to be ADA compliant, but the idea of widening that sidewalk is, it seems wild that we'd go and try to save those 6 trees that are growing wild, and then widening this is going to really adversely impact those trees that are growing every 20-something feet or whatever. There was a photograph of them. So anyway, I just want to go on the record, let y'all know what we got to work through. And we brought that up to the city and they acknowledged it or whatever, but I just want, since it was in conversation, that the idea of widening the sidewalk, we've got to consider those trees. I think that's a much bigger consideration than the 6 that are growing wildly out there on those lots, the ones that are uniform distance away from the road, evenly spaced, and have a great looking canopy. We really want to maintain those.
Maybe I read this wrong, but we're saying in this staff report, it's saying the 4-foot sidewalks will remain 4 foot and the new ones will be 5, right?
Yes. And the 4 feet wide sidewalks existing where they're like broken and
Yeah, we're all for
stuff,
that.
they'll have to
Yeah.
repair all that and bring them up to ADA code requirements.
We're all for that, but the idea of widening that, we just don't want that. We want to go on the record to say widening that would affect.
Well, they could widen it to the interior of the property. It wouldn't affect the existing trees. You don't have to widen it to the
We're for that.
outside.
Yeah, if y'all allow that. I think we had proposed that and it was kind of looked down on, but we're for that if it comes to it.
So that's something you
ADA
can see
requires
happening,
5 foot.
like kind of currently.
Anyone
We've
know
got
that.
people living out there now that are, want to enjoy,
Well, so right now, and it is a little bit confusing, but really that is our development company's private property. It's not yet been brought in as common space or, it just happens to be future development land that has a paved road through it. So if you can imagine moving into a multi-phase subdivision and there was a dirt road or a trail that ran through the woods that they're going to develop one day, we just happen to have a paved street with a 4-foot sidewalk and street trees and everything like that. And we're for people enjoying it, but the ability to maintain that and the expectation of that has to still be kept in regard. Because people are saying, hey, there's a dilapidated bridge over here, or somebody left their trailer back here, and that's not in the community. That's on our private property. That's back in the woods, for example, but it happens to have a paved street. It's not a city street. It's not an HOA street. It's not in the phases of development that have been developed, approved, and subdivided. Does that make sense? But as we expand the community, when y'all approve this, for example, today, then, you know, that, and we extend that, then that would become part of that phase.
Will some of these phases be turned over to HOA?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
ongoing? I
yeah.
know they will in the future, but.
Yeah, well, so it'll become either an individual residence, you know, home, their address, and then the open space, you know, like around the ponds or parks, pocket parks, et cetera. It'll become road right of way, individual lots, or open space. So,
I'm saying, as you're going along, though,
Yes,
you're gonna do that.
yep, that's
So
right.
there'll be HOAs in operation while you're still building other homes
Well,
elsewhere.
it'll be added to, we don't intend to have multiple HOAs, you know,
It'll be just one
just
master.
one, yeah, one master HOA.
You won't have sub-phase HOA.
The only way we'd have, I don't want to say no to that completely. We don't have intention of it being, you know, a real confusing mess. But sometimes when you have multifamily, you know, like townhouses, they need something to handle the lawn maintenance and the roof maintenance of that particular product. We call that like a sub HOA.
Right.
So you still pay in because you use the pool and the entryway and the clubhouse. So you pay that annual dues, and then
Master
you pay
association,
you
come
pay
up
your, you know,
But not all the,
townhouse dues.
the single-family homes will have sub-HOAs. They'll just be
No.
part of the master.
No, that's
Jenny?
Going back to what y'all were talking about with sidewalks, when this development was originally approved, the standards were 4-foot sidewalks. ADA has updated their standards, and they now require either a 4-foot sidewalk with a passing zone. So essentially, the sidewalk has to be widened about every 75 or 100 feet. They have to put in one extra kind of square of concrete on the side so that if two wheelchairs or two strollers are headed in opposite directions, they have room to step aside and let the other pass. So that is an option. That they could also rip all the sidewalk out and put in 5-foot sidewalk if they wanted. That would meet ADA as well. We did not want to write any specific thing into this. We wanted, and when we wrote the condition, we wrote it so that it said it needs to meet ADA requirements. That gives staff the ability to work with the developer to save all those trees and find a solution that will work best for the development as it goes forward. But we want it to meet ADA, but you know, with as little work as possible and in the best way in order to preserve what's already out there.
Yeah,
And
we're
you're good
for
with
the
that.
passing lane, you know, because then we can put it in between the trees.
Right.
So, yeah, we like that.
So I'm just gonna tie back into this. So it looks like around Colonial Circle. So we've got some existing homes that have sold signs on them when I drove through there. And then we have a phase of townhouses. I guess maybe that was phase 2. And then I'm seeing those folks want to walk to the pool. And we've got broken infrastructure there now. Am I wrong on that?
No, you are correct.
Okay.
So what we have asked them to do is basically everything from Settlers Way south, you know, south of this new development, that will all get improved according to these standards and brought up to standards. That
Prior to CBO.
When?
prior to C of O. So they'll be able to get a land disturbance permit. They'll come in and build that emergency access that is Settlers Way out. And that way they can use that for all their construction traffic during the rest of the construction phase. The city doesn't want to accept roads that haven't seen their heaviest load. And the heaviest load a road is ever going to see is the construction load that it experiences when a home is being built, when concrete trucks are driving, trucks loaded down with trusses, that type of thing. So we want them to get that Settlers Lane, Settlers Road built, and then start working on all the improvements south of there to bring those roads up to standard. So once Settlers Road is built, then city will go out and do a comprehensive punch list of any items in the asphalt, the curb and gutter, the sidewalk that need repaired. We'll work with the developer to get those all repaired while they're building that phase 3A. You know, they'll have concrete contractors on site doing the 3A curb and gutter. They can hop down and make some repairs if needed. That just worked with our timing to make those requirements prior to a CO so that they could be working on all this stuff simultaneously.
Good plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioners? The chair will entertain a motion of some kind.
I will make a motion that we approve with staff conditions.
I'll second. Motion and a second to accept Colonial Traditions Phase 3 with staff recommendations. All in favor, say aye.
Clarification? That includes remaining trees, the cluster of trees remain as part of the, part of the plan that has to be worked around.
If our arborist has seen it and he agrees that they can be saved, well, that's kind of the point. I mean, it'll make it unique. They can, I won't suggest what they can do for the property owners next door. It'll become a premium lot. I mean, at the end of the day, we put this ordinance in place to save these trees, and our arborist has seen it. We continue to kick this can down the road and allow these trees to be removed. What was the point in putting the ordinance in place? So that's where I sit with that situation.
Okay.
So,
Is everybody okay with this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Mel, we approved. Other business, is there any other business coming before us tonight that we didn't get a chance to talk to anybody in the audience about? Communication from staff?
Yes, sir. I knew you were all nervous that you would get out here without hearing me talk, so
So that's why we.
I'll let everybody kind of clear out before I continue.
Get my phone out. What are we doing?
I have a couple questions for you too,
Oh,
when it's
I didn't
appropriate.
come up here for that.
Well, that's why you paid the big bucks.
All right. Well, so just a couple of things. I just wanted to give you an update on the comprehensive plan process. So the city advertised requests for proposals, kind of a nationwide advertisement. We received 12 different proposals, and most from pretty good size, like nationally known firms. We're in the midst of kind of scoring those and putting together a recommendation to council to enter into a contract with whoever we kind of land on. Probably go through, like I said, we're scoring, probably do some interviews, and then we'll put together a recommendation to council. Planning Commission will have a big role in the comprehensive plan process. In fact, state code, that's one of your primary responsibilities, is adopting that comprehensive or master plan. I would anticipate early in the comprehensive plan process that the consultant will want to interview either as a whole or individual planning commission members. So that's exciting. It's really good for the city. Like I said, planning commissioners will have a strong role in that. So just be on the lookout. I would say hopefully sometime in March, we'll be able to take a recommendation to council. So, yes, sir.
Will we have an opportunity to review your 12 people that you said, 12 companies, or y'all gonna choose one and?
Well, so yeah, I think we'll just kind of keep that more internal. Just like I said, we have a scoring process and we're trying to review all the,
Okay.
and then like I said, then council will make the contract with the consultant, and then they'll be quickly, I'm sure, in contact with all of you. So.
Are all the stuff about the same? Are they similar, each company?
I
Major
don't.
differences, you know?
I mean, yeah, certainly there are all differences. They're from all over the place. They all have their own strengths, I think. Most of them, it's a kind of a prime or primary firm, and they've subcontracted out or proposed to subcontract out. Say they have a particular firm who their big thing is transportation or mobility, or some of them have firms that are really focused on public engagement. So we're kind of in the midst of that, reviewing all of them. So I feel there's a variety of them. I think any of them will probably end up being good choices, but I think the planning commission will be happy whenever staff kind of puts together and council selects. So.
Because there might be, you know, there may be certain companies in there that have markets like ours, like this, like the little town we have here.
Right. Well, the
Maybe different from
RFP.
some in Chicago or New York or.
Right. Yeah. The RFP requested people, or at least gave favor to firms that may have had some Alabama experience or similar coastal community experience. So yes, sir. Yeah. Those are the things that are being looked at. So.
Good.
Next, so I believe Mel sent an email to everybody. This is the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission. They're offering a training, SARPC's Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment training event. It's March 26th, Thursday, from 10 to 4 at OWA up in Foley. City will pay the registration fee for any of you who are interested. I think we're going to invite our Board of Zoning Adjustment members as well. So just take a look at that email. Please let us know. Like I said, we'll cover the tab on that. Lunch is included. But like I said, if any of you have that CAPSO training, I think this offers recertification credit. So that would be a positive as well. And you know, any type of learning, I think, is a good positive. So just let me or Mel know if you're interested. And like I said, we'll get you registered and take care of that. Lastly, you know, we've been talking about subdivision regulations. May have said we were going to do a work session last time, but we didn't. So I asked if everyone would bring their calendars. I was going to suggest, let me pull up my calendar. I was looking at a following Tuesday, but unfortunately they're kind of booked. I was going to suggest Thursday, March 12th, if that's a possibility. We could do, we could do 4 o'clock like this, or another time we could do a lunch meeting. We could do, again, whatever's going to work for the most planning commissioners. The plan is this first section is going to be kind of the process and procedure discussion. So, you know, what's the process of getting a preliminary plat to a final plat? That would be this discussion. Later on, we'll get more of the design aspects of subdivisions. I would intend to send out some draft language to all of you, you know, prior to the meeting. I'm going to share it with local engineering firms, or really anyone who wants to provide feedback. I think it'd be positive to hear from the applicants that come to you. If, like I've said, if they can propose something that makes it easier on them and still serves the purpose of protecting the city on our side, I would be certainly open to entertaining it, so we can improve, make it a little more business friendly, a little more efficient. So anyway, if March 12th works, if that sounds like a good day.
I can't do that.
Cannot. Okay.
School board.
Oh, okay. What time is it all day?
5.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can go earlier. Like I said, I was thrown out 4 just because that's when your planning commission is. Like I said, I think we could swing. Well, my calendar, I could probably do any time that day. If a lunch meeting works, like say if you want to come in at like 11:30, feed you lunch, and then make that a working lunch. I mean, that makes it easier on, I know a lot of us, just because one.
Can you send us out a draft agenda for us to be looking at what we?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. We'll it may not be so much of agenda. It will probably draft language for the actual regulations.
I'm good with lunch.
Oh, I can do lunch that day as well.
Okay. So lunch on the 12th is,
Yes.
okay.
Tell us where.
Like,
Yeah, I'll work on venue. It may be the executive conference room, maybe like activity center. You know, we'll find a good spot if we know anybody who can help us on.
Fun fact, the library just redid their meeting room, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
very appropriate for a group this size.
Okay.
And it's a very nice space.
Okay, well, we have someone who can certainly help us on that.
Fun fact.
I like
Good.
what, 11:30? Is that what you said?
That sounds,
11:30?
I'll double check, but yeah, probably, you know, lunchtime, we'll start, you know, probably start, you know, hand out lunches, and then we'll move into the discussion while. So, but yeah, I'll nail down the particulars and send that back out. It will be a public meeting. So like I said, it will be an open public meeting. It doesn't mean people will participate, but they can attend if they want to. But like I said, it may be worthwhile to hear from some of the community, like your engineers and surveyors and developers, even if they want to provide feedback. I think that would be useful. I would not imagine the average citizens would have a whole lot to say about these processes, just because it's kind of a, but I think hearing from us, hearing from the development community might be a positive. But
Is that room big enough for?
If it's not that, we can activity center.
yeah, we'll find out.
We'll find room.
I don't think they'll be beating down the doors. I think we'll just have a couple of probably a couple of the ones you're probably familiar with that you see often. So
Next planning commission meeting?
the March 24th, well, let me double check before I announce that. Yes, March 24th is your next planning commission meeting.
Thank you, sir.
I think Grant had some questions.
I did. This is going back in time. There was discussions when Rayleigh Farms was on the agenda about turn lanes and about landscaping on the south side of their barricade fence or their privacy fence. Did we ever come to any understanding? Y'all were gonna look back
I'm
into
happy
the
to turn that over
records.
to the
Y'all gonna look back at the records to see what occurred during the annexation process, during the original development discussions, and who was responsible for doing turn lanes and landscape buffering on the fence line.
So I can speak to the turn lane, eastbound, left turn lane turning into Riley Farms if you're headed eastbound. That is a city responsibility. I actually finished analyzing the crash data this morning.
The reason I brought it up is I wasn't in your data, but I very likely could have been.
There have been quite a few near misses out there. I am in the process of working with Public Works to see if we can't get a left turn lane put in right there. I understand they just planted 2 new trees, and so you might see 2 new trees out there. We can easily pull those out because they'll need to be relocated because of the tree lane. The trees were hit by another vehicle and had to be replaced. But we're starting the process of working on some plans and working on some funding to get that put in. But that turn lane I can speak to as a city responsibility, and we are looking into that. So
And then
hopefully it'll happen soon.
landscaping, we'll have to still research more.
Let us research that.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't want to let it drop. Everything else has got landscaping and it looks pretty rough as you're coming in. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
And that was all I had as well.
All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All right.
Hey, good job on
There,
that.
good job, thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all coming
Good
in.
job on that tradition.
Nice job.
Sandy.
Tradition.